Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is hashtag Run For Not From week 28. I've still got my Crocs on, as you can see, so not quite ready yet. But this week's topic is about the strength in respectful expression. So it's about talking to people openly, freely, and honestly without being conflicting and without being argumentative, but being respectful and opening up to people's values. So I really hope you enjoy this topic so far. We haven't even started yet. I really hope you enjoy this topic. We're going to go on a very slow run today because my legs are a bit sore. Helena will be joining me. She might pop into the video a few times.
Hello.
But yeah, we'll go from there. So I hope you enjoy.
Pew, pew. Don't put that in.
Now is a good time to remind everyone about why we do hashtag Run For Not From. And it's in the title. We are running for our problems and not from them. And we always pick a topic of the week. And this week I've chosen quite a big topic. It's quite lofty. Sometimes it's a little bit deeper than usual. I mean, compared to last week when I'm talking about the benefits of weight training. And this week we're talking about respectful conversation and debate. I've been not pushed to do this topic, but I felt like I really wanted to in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which happened probably about 3 weeks ago at the point of filming this, and probably 4 weeks ago at the point of posting. Now, I only know Charlie Kirk from TikTok, I'll be honest with you. And do I agree with his opinions? No, I really don't, but that doesn't really matter. I think this topic of conversation does though, which is being open and accepting of differing people's opinions, and being respectful and having a conversation rather than an argument, because we need to start having conversations that build bridges instead of building walls that divide us. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, and some little tips and tricks that I use when I don't agree with someone. And believe me, I'm very opinionated about a lot of things, so sometimes it can get difficult at times, and we're only human. But hopefully you enjoy the journey. We're not going to talk about the distance, the time, or anything like that. We're just going to talk about this topic today. Without further ado, let's stay open, let's stay kind, and let's stay respectful. So let's talk about why it matters. Firstly, having conversation. We are human beings, we are tribal in nature. I've said it so many times before, and disagreement is always going to happen. It's inevitable. We've got different backgrounds, experiences, religions, beliefs, everything. So that is always going to happen. So disagreement is inevitable, but disrespect is most definitely optional. We can choose to be kind and we can choose to be open-minded. One thing that I always like to remember is there is beauty in difference. If everyone was exactly the same, my God, wouldn't we live in a boring world? We wouldn't have Italian food, Chinese food, we wouldn't have opera, we wouldn't have beautiful music, we wouldn't have these lovely experiences, different architecture and different places to see. Without respect, conversations turn into disagreements and they turn into dead ends and blockages. But with respect, conversations turn into opportunities. Opportunities to grow, opportunities to be more than we were before, to change. And change can sometimes be a really good thing. Look, it's a fine line because routine is something that I massively believe in, and change is almost the opposite of routine. But if you stick with something for too long, you do get stagnant and you do plateau, and you need to try new things. And that comes from taking in other people's opinions. Always, you are not the smartest person in the room, in every room, always. And even if you are, let's say you are the smartest person in every room you go into, it doesn't mean you're right for over every single topic that you're talking about, because you can't be. Humans aren't computers. We can't see every outcome to the millisecond. So you need to take other people's thoughts and feelings and really evaluate them. And one final thing that I want to say before I sort of go on to my story with conversation and disagreement and everything like that, is that when we do have conversations with people, we should do it in a way that does invite rebuttal and invites conversation. We shouldn't be saying stuff in such a way that it's shutting people down. because if you shut people down before they've even got their opinion across, you could be missing out on some great opportunity. So let's talk about my story with conversation, with debate and everything like that, because I've always been a very confident speaker, I have to say. In fact, I'm wearing a hoodie from my school now from when I didn't win, that's a lie. I came, I think, second or third. Dom, one of my mates, will put in the comments I came last, but I didn't. I think I came second or third in the public school debating competition. I've always liked speaking. I've always found it very, very comfortable. But one thing that I used to struggle with is people wasting their potential, or maybe not even giving 100%. I never quite understood it, even at a young age. If you're doing something, you're just going to be wasting your time if you're not giving it 100%. And in my immaturity, I didn't understand, one, that maybe it was their 100% and that was everything that they could give, or two, they were embarrassed because if they did give their 100% and they failed, they'd have no excuse to say, oh, I gave it my best shot and it didn't work out. And that's hard to admit. And for many times in my life, I find that hard to admit as well. When I give 100% and it doesn't work out, I find it difficult to accept, no, it wasn't good enough, or this time it didn't pan out. And that's life, and it happens. But as I've got older, particularly at university, and then older again at work, I understand that people's 100% are different and people's starting points are different. If I look at the people I've trained as a personal trainer and I think, oh, why are they only doing that? Why are they only lifting that much? I wouldn't have a business. Because I've got to think back, when I first started, I was in exactly the same place. And it's having that respect and open mind of everyone starts at a different place and everyone learns at their different speeds. But it does make me frustrated when I think that people aren't giving 100% when actually they are. And that's one thing that I always have to look in the mirror and check myself on, because maybe they are. Only you will ever know if you're truly giving 100%. And speaking about my clients in particular, I feel like when I first started training people, I was a lot more combative than I am now. Yes, I understand that people do want to push themselves, but there's a longevity factor that I think has sort of become one of my USPs now when it comes to training, and certainly in regard to myself as well. Yes, I want to give 100%, but particularly with weightlifting, with training, with anything that you're sort of striving for, if you give 100% every single day, your 100% will actually start to decrease because your body is breaking down without any chance of repair. And so now when I'm with my clients and future clients, I think about the longevity factor and I do weigh up, we're going to be doing this for a long time, and it comes from a lot more of a place of nurturing than combative. And I get that some days we're both on it and we want to push and we want to go for it. Then other days it's just about coming in and getting the work done, and you'll see the dial slowly start to improve. So that's one thing that I certainly struggled with when I'm talking about conversation and rebuttal and disagreements. And when I have debates with people now, yes, constantly I have disagreements with people of all kinds, but I come at it with much more of an open mind. I think that's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of, is just accepting people are always going to have differing opinions to you, but at the end of the day, you do need to put your own voice across and your own opinions. Otherwise, they're just going to get flattened and never heard. What are my little tips that I can give you for respect? Because I think a lot of times we don't even know we're doing it. And if you're quite a competitive person, and I don't mean combative, I do mean competitive, it can often feel like when you get into a conversation with people, you need to win. You need to win the conversation. That's not exactly the right sort of way to be thinking about it. Because if you truly think about a debate, what is it you're trying to achieve? You're trying to get people to understand your opinions and values, and maybe even agree with them. Now, if you're trying to do that, you're trying to persuade people. You're actually trying to get people to align with your thoughts. So if you're constantly belittling them and putting them down and pushing them under, they're never going to come over to your idea or your way of thinking, because they don't like you as a person. So I think some of these tips are just how you portray yourself and how you put the best foot forward. when you're having a debate or even a conversation with people. Number one, and that's listen first. You'll hear it again when I do the quote of the week, which is all about listening. And that is so, so important, because if you don't listen to people, you're just going to end up repeating what they said, and then they'll go, oh, that's what I said 5-10 minutes ago, and you didn't actually digest what they had to say. So it's listening and understanding and digesting what the person in front of you is trying to say. Number two, choose I and we instead of you. Now, the only way to sort of explain this or describe it is if I give you an example. And let's say you're in a relationship, and instead of going, you need to do the dishes, you need to do this, you have always been the dirty one, the messy one, whatever. But if we go, we have a problem and I think we should come to a solution. I have been thinking that we should do this, rather than you. It's a really easy and simple language fix that turns things away from being combative and more persuasive. Number three, this one is most certainly the most difficult, and that is staying curious. Now, it's so much easier said than done, but you need to have an open mind when you're going into a conversation and a debate, because you might actually leave the debate no longer thinking what you previously did, and all the ideas and thoughts you had going in are suddenly opened up to new questions. Now, one thing I would say to you is don't immediately just give up on your way of thinking, but truly digest what the other has to say and try and formulate it in your mind. And that's that curiosity factor. Stay curious within your mind, open and willing to learn. Number four, and that is controlling your tone. I think it's really important to remember you can speak with passion, but you can't speak with aggression. They're two very, very different things, and they can often get misinterpreted. And if you look at some of the most famous speeches of all time, they don't come from a place of aggressiveness or anger or anything like that. They come from hope and they come from passion, and that's what makes them so persuasive and memorable. And number five, quite possibly the most important one when looking at debates and conversations, and that is pick your battles, because sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is not comment at all. That leads us on perfectly to one of the newest segments of #Run4Not-From, and that's the quick fire run reflections. And these are 4 questions that I need you to think about. Don't ask anyone else. It's purely for you and you alone. You can maybe leave a comment at the bottom of this video, but that's up to you. Question number 1. When was the last time I expressed an opinion in a way that I wasn't proud of? Question number 2. How do I react when someone disagrees with me? I think there's a really good saying, and that is, if someone corrects you and you get annoyed, that's a you problem. That's an ego issue. And I think it's one of those things. Just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean they're inherently wrong and you're inherently right. It means they have an opposing view of thinking, and you just have to better understand them. Question number 3. Who would benefit more if I listened more and talked less? And the 4th and final question, and I sort of touched upon it about a few minutes ago, and it is, what would happen if I entered conversations with my intention being to understand rather than to win? Because it's not all about winning and losing. Sometimes you just need to understand people. This has been an absolutely beautiful run. Really, really slow paced, but really enjoyable. Weather's been lovely, a bit cool. I've dressed a bit hot, but we are heavily on the way home now, so we should be home in the next sort of 10 or 15 minutes for some lovely food. We're going to go a little bit of a different way home now, cross country, just cut the distance down a little bit because our legs are feeling it a little bit. But we do have enough time for the quote, and we do have enough time for our connection. And this week's connection is, we don't run from conflict or differences or expression. We run for understanding, dialogue, and respect. So we are on the cool down walk on the way home. We'll probably be home in the next sort of 10 or so minutes, but this is the perfect sort of time to do this week's quote. And it comes from a man called Bryant McGill, who is an author and human rights activist. And he said, one of the most sincere forms of respect is actually listening to what others have to say. Let me know what you think.